I'm Diego Cortez.
Adam Schoenfeld.
Welcome to the Scoop, brought to you by Full Tilt Poker, and we really have a special show today. David Oppenheim joins us, and he's been playing literally the biggest games in the world for almost 20 years now, in LA, in Las Vegas, and in a sense he kind of burst upon the scene for a lot of people because he almost won the Players' Championship, the 50K, at the World Series. He ended up finishing third, but even though he doesn't play a lot of tournaments, he's been playing with all the best players and has a lot to talk about. So your actual poker success, poker earnings to public recognition ratio might be the highest in all of poker, in the sense that you've been playing the biggest games, literally the biggest games in the room for like almost 20 years, and to most of the public, they recognize guys on TV who've won tournaments and such, and that's not your main thing. Is that pretty accurate? Can you come up with someone who has a higher ratio?
A higher ratio of earnings to like non-notoriety?
Earnings, ability to recognition.
I don't really know.
Is that a big deal to you at all, or?
Is it a big deal to me? No, man. I mean, when I started playing poker like 19 years ago, it was, I never even really envisioned kind of being at the place I'm at now, so everything that poker's done for me, I'm, incredibly grateful for, and, the fact that that the public's not really aware of me, sure, everybody has an ego and would like to kind of be recognized for what they do.
People within poker know what you've done.
Yeah, but it's not. It clearly isn't very important to me. I haven't really put forth a lot of effort into that, and I'm pretty grateful for everything that poker's done for me, and the fact that it's become such a well-known game, and things that we never could have foreseen 19 years ago.
This year you made a very deep run in the horse, and some might argue you should have won it. Were you happy just that your kids could get to see you on TV? Because some people, that's the motivation. Like, they don't care about fame in general, but they at least want their kids to see them do their profession on TV.
To be honest with you, and I love my kids, and I want them to think, that never even really crossed my mind. It was cool to make a deep run in that tournament. It's a pretty prestigious tournament. No, man, I never really thought that. They've seen me, here and there on TV. I've played the NBC thing and done some poker after dark and whatever. So they've seen me a little bit on TV.
Do they get excited when they see you on TV?
What's funny is when it came out, we after the World Series, I went to Seattle and it aired, and we watched the first episode. My kids watched it for 5 minutes and they were gone. and to this day, I still have not seen. It was like a 2-part series. Yeah. I still have not seen the second episode.
I mean, they show. This is the 50K horse. And
50K Players event.
Right.
And this
Players
is
Championship.
All
right, not even horse. The Players Championship. And there's a long, I think a full 2 episodes,
right,
where it's you basically butting heads with Michael Mizrachi, and you had him down at one point and seemingly about to take the full 10 count, but he was able to bounce back.
Yeah, it really seemed like it was your destiny to win it. And obviously the fact that it's the mixed games, which was your métier, is part of it, but you got to the final table, and when you were down to 3-handed, you had a ton of chips. And there was a decisive hand against Michael Mizrachi where he called your move-in with a king-queen.
Yeah.
He raised, you made a big move-in for his entire tournament life. If you win this hand, your head's up with a huge chip lead, and if he's wrong, he loses. And what was interesting, and this is something Adam and I joked about a lot of times, is that he thought about it for a while, he made the call, and as it turns out, it was the best possible situation because you had another pair, you had a pair of 8s.
Right.
And then he went over to his handlers, and he said, I put him on 8s or 9s, which I think is always funny. It's like, what about ace king or ace queen?
Right.
That
was impossible. right.
I mean, those are equally more likely.
It was raised on the button. He re-raised, and then he had to basically call off like I didn't understand the call. It ended up being mathematically the correct call, but
if he knows your hand.
We haven't seen your hand yet.
Not against your whole range of hands.
Right. I think he just, was hoping to get into a coin flip situation and try to get me out of there. Was kind of what he was thinking. He probably did put me on like 9s or 10s or something like that, and said, you know what, I'll stick it in here and hopefully it's a coin flip, and and I can get them out of the tournament.
And if it's not, yeah, and I mean, he does play to win. I give full credit for that, which is he went in there with one objective, and especially in that tournament, there's so much value in winning and being the champion that you're going to gamble.
Right. If Michael, in his own mind, decided David's super tough, this could likely be a coin flip, I could understand that logic. But on the other hand, I don't like calling off a giant amount with King High.
King High, yeah. No, I mean, he could have very easily been, pretty dead.
Right, you could be crushed.
So that is the most prestigious tournament now. Not the biggest money-wise, but certainly the one that everybody wants to win. And for you, even though, as you say, it's not a big deal to you still, this would have been a huge accomplishment and a wonderful thing to do. Were you... did you just rebound right away from that, or did you think about that hand for weeks?
I did not think about that hand. With that tournament, and I'm usually pretty hard on myself with tournaments, and I've made deep runs in other tournaments, and literally been unable to get out of the house for a couple days. But that was like a 6-day tourney where I really played as well as I could, and I was pretty present in the moment for the whole tournament, and really even at the final table when it became no limit hold'em, which they didn't show a lot of very cool hands, which was kind of disappointing. I mean, they kind of have to jam it into that 2-hour episode, but there was a lot of very cool hands in that final table that they didn't show. I played as well as I could, so I was able to kind of recover from it. I was very happy with the way I played. Of course, would I wanted to win it? I went in there super short stacked, and then got a pretty good chip lead, and it was kind of a roller coaster ride. But I was just happy with the way I played, so it wasn't a tough recovery for me.
One thing people may not realize, as I say, and maybe I'm not giving enough credit to people out there, but that not only have you always played the biggest games and played the Larry Flint stud game and games in Bobby's room, but even before there were so many big games, you were playing all the big games. I mean, it was a whole different world where it was a small group of people who played, and there you were the whole time, and you were like the young kid.
At one point I was definitely the new kid on the block, and the young guy in the big games.
Guys around our age now are like old timers, but it's a whole different generation.
There are so many times, it's happened so many times where I've been at a 6 or 7-handed table, and I've been the oldest guy at the table, which is really crazy.
That's things have changed.
Especially in your stakes. I mean, you'd think it takes a while to kind of acquire that skill and bankroll, or used to.
Right. Yeah. The poker learning curve is quite a bit different now than when I started, and you got young kids, and you have the internet, and you have so much information out there, and you just kind of can learn poker, a little faster now than you could, back when I was playing. Back when I was playing, I mean, a lot of the poker knowledge and information was kind of considered almost like a hidden treasure.
Right, and you would never give it away.
You never give away these treasures. And now, with the internet and literature and everything else, everybody's spewing out information, and these kids are smart, and they're good players in their own right, and the ones that have talent kind of move up rather quickly. They don't necessarily stay there,
right,
at the highest levels, but they kind of get there, and they kind of take their lumps. And
this is part of the thing that, and maybe why I have a lot of respect for you, which is that as much as I respect guys who've had enormous success, it's one thing to do it for 6 months or for a year, but it's another thing to do it for 10, 15 years, because at those stakes, most people, if not all, are under bankrolled, unless it's Guy La Liberté or someone.
Right.
People really are vulnerable to losing their bankroll unless they're really skilled and really disciplined. And even if you are skilled, if you go on tilt, you can blow half your bankroll in one night, or your entire bankroll.
For sure. I think anybody that's gonna play at the highest levels will eventually get there by being under bankrolled.
Right.
It's just kind of part of part of the journey. I did it. When I was 23 years old, I was playing, the highest limits at the time, and I was, not exactly well prepared financially for those situations. But I think that you for the players that end up being successful at the highest limits, they all kind of go through that as a learning experience, and you kind of have to have that in you, I think, to be successful. I mean, you kind of have to be successful at the highest limits. You have to have that, whatever you may call it, that gene that you're willing to kind of put it on the line. And the guys who are more conservative and also have a long-lasting poker career, who wouldn't put themselves in that situation, are not gonna basically make it at the highest levels. And there's nothing wrong with that. I always think it's more admirable to kind of stay within yourself and be there for the long haul and have a good balanced life, rather than some of the guys that you see, we won't mention any names, that are willing to risk it all and kind of live broke a lot of the times and have money sometimes.
Thanks for joining us on The Scoop, brought to you by Full Tilt Poker. And it's fascinating to talk to David Oppenheim and get some insight into the high-limit world that not too many people are privy to. So we're going to have him back next week, and look for us on Card Player TV.